All right, blessed good day again. All right, blessed good afternoon again, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, family and friends. Blessed good afternoon. I apologize. A little technical difficulty. I need brothers and sisters to tell me if you hear me a little more louder, a little more clearer. Let me know exactly. Listen carefully before you doing it. Right? So, brothers and sisters, family and friends, as we continue to discuss and as we continue to share life. Right. So you hear me loud and clear? Right. So I assume my voice loud and clear. I now get a phone call from a partner beach day because he and all tuning in, he and all listening. Right. So apparently the audio back up and running. So let me see if we can get this thing going, ladies and gentlemen. I needed to call somebody back who knows somebody, or let me get this conversation going. But we will talk while people come back. So again, as we was discussing here in Trinidad and Tobago, we have a lot of different conversations taking place. We have a lot of people playing their part. Again, as I mentioned concerning the CPEP thing, phone lines is open. But while we navigate, brothers and sisters, I want to touch a little bit on the bacchanal with the United States of America, with Venezuela, and Trinidad and Tobago, where we fit in as a people. Because something that we must always remember. Now again, brothers and sisters, I have some audios to run for you here today. Because exactly what I am seeing in Trinidad and Tobago is exactly what it is I am seeing taking place in Washington, D.C. Now, you can like Donald Trump, you can don't like Donald Trump, you can like Ms. Kamala Persad-Bissessar, you can don't like Ms. Kamala Persad-Bissessar. At the end of the day, those leaders have a responsibility to their people. The reason why their names continue to call, the reason why we could say what we want, is because they have a responsibility to their nation and their people. Don't mind me, I could comfortably tell you here in Trinidad and Tobago, over the period of time, the Venezuelan government, matter of fact, their security minister, he continued to be blatantly disrespectful towards the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. Because he is under the impression that he could speak to people in the Caribbean how he wants. Because his government is a big government, he's sitting in a big nation, but my responsibility is to give Trinidadian citizens and people around the world the big reality of what it is we are dealing with. Now the facts is, nobody too concerned. I doubt the United States of America have all that money to waste to say, well, all right, the hell with everything. We could just run down Venezuela and just ambush Venezuela and we go make up our excuse because we don't business about them, we just concerned about the oil. Now that could be one. That is some people's perspective. But at the end of the day, holistically and realistically, people who lived in the United States of America, people who actually lived in Miami, people who live in Florida, people who live in certain parts of Detroit, people who actually living out there, they know the sad reality of drugs and what drugs is doing to their community. Now, brothers and sisters, over the years, our responsibility is to continue holding on to the facts. Now, the facts is, Trinidad and Tobago is labeled globally as a shipment hub. No, not shipment hub for culture, not directly for goods and services, although we do all these things. We are known for when people have to pass through their drugs, they either pass it through Trinidad and Tobago or they pass it through our waters. This is what we are known for. Now, mind me, brothers and sisters, as much as I continue to say, it don't please me to tell you this. They have people who actually hooked on drugs in Trinidad and Tobago. But with being given the opportunity to go to different countries, interact with different people, I know what a drug problem look like. I know when a community is overwhelmed with a drug problem, thank you very much, how it look like, what it look like. And what sads me today, ladies and gentlemen, Bless good afternoon, brother. Bless good afternoon. I am okay on yourself. I ain't get you. Tell me to open my back yourself. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Together with what's coming up from America, we do we share that with America.
Yes.
So far it's 10 more, what I get. So there are two people we vote, I can, like 20 people we can vote, right?
Yeah.
Two people can vote. We go to 20 families, then we can get a whole model. I'll get a 35 million, or something.
All right. I hear you. I'll opinion.
Yeah, you'll get something with a million.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, all right. All right, Papa. But I did nothing positive yet. Exactly say all they do. Right? So I'll get today. Yeah, brother. Thank you much for your call. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm brother Albelly. So here is as I was telling earlier. We here in Trinidad and Tobago, I see Lucky Lal put up a damn good comment there. Lucky Lal said, yes, he's a hub for many things. And that is so true. But one of the things that tend to stand out globally is the fact that Trinidad and Tobago is a shipment hub being utilized as pawns. Now, mind me, brothers and sisters, those of us as citizens and understand the effect of the drug activities, the gun activities, the violent activities in our communities. We as citizens have a responsibility to either we playing a part in eradicating the problem, opening the doors of opportunity and being a part of relevant contribution. And I say this to say this. Trinidad and Tobago have a holistic problem when it comes to violent crimes. Whether it be home invasion, whether it be robbery, whether it be whatever it is. We tend to have a lot of guns on the streets. This is the conversation, and this has been the conversation for years. We saw the type of murders that takes place on the Nation Roadway, ladies and gentlemen, on a month-by-month basis. Matter of fact, we just navigated out of, with the former administration, 27, 28, 29 murders a weekend. This used to be the harsh reality here in Trinidad and Tobago under the former administration. And as much as people in Trinidad and Tobago continue to say, oh yeah, we standing the ground, we taking restraint with the government, our responsibility is to continue carrying the relevant information to our young people. Because they don't have the reason, they don't have the responsibility, they don't even have to be a part of that type of behavior, because Trinidad and Tobago on its own, minus the guns, minus the drugs, minus the criminal activities, we have much, much more to market to the world, much more to market to our families, much more to market to our children. Matter of fact, people, we have a nation to build. So my responsibility is to continue to ask you, let us not continue playing games with a serious circumstance, a serious position, a serious shortcoming that we have been dealing with for the longest. Our borders has been exposed. Now, let me be real and reasonable with what it is we are actually arguing. Because we have people who actually stand with the PNM, like the former Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. It is embarrassing to actually read that man's contribution. Because it's like you asking the government of Trinidad and Tobago to be a part of criminal activities. Because mind me, we could talk, we could say what we want. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a problem with narcotics passing through Trinidad and Tobago, passing through the waters of Trinidad and Tobago. And it is flowing over into the streets. Because when these drugs move, these drugs have to move with guns. And as far as I realize, it looked like when the drugs continue to ship, the guns stay. The guns stay. And then we end up with a lot of young men and young women in particular communities and some would say capitalizing, but then the question must be asked. In some of these communities, this underprivileged, concrete backbone PNM communities, ladies and gentlemen, was the doors of opportunities ever open? At least in Trinidad and Tobago, at least in Point 14, we can explain to you how the PNM eradicated the oil refinery, how they decimated the opportunities for young people to be a part of Petrochin Trimmer. At least we could give you historical data. How PNM on its own closed Caroni 1975 Limited, eradicated that structure instead of fixing the structure. So we could give you data where particular communities was impacted when things was closed. But what is the excuse for the Ravantil, for Silots, for the Beatum? What is the excuse? And the level of shortcomings that those brothers and sisters in those communities was left to live with it, even infiltrated into Point 14. What happened with Point 14 is that it had a lot of people working in the oil field. It had those who was working Petrochin, those who was working for contractors. So nearly every home had at least one individual heading to work in the oil field. Contractor workers was being underpaid, yes, but we was getting the opportunity to go to work. So instead of staying home and complaining about being underpaid, you go to work, eventually hoping the structure fix. And I believe this is where CPEP is at. CPEP workers went to work until it reached to the point that we have a government who is ready to fix the structure. And if we're real and reasonable, we can be adults and say, well, yes, it has been some time. And we can say, well, yes, pointing in the direction we're going, either we incorporating the CPEP structure into the corporations, or we opening back CPEP. But government, we believe in you. We believe in you. And what's sad and really baffles me is when people calling, defending CPEP who just stopped work. CPEP just stopped work. What about the Petrochin workers who had children in college and had to make adjustments like take them out of college? What about workers who was paying for houses the bank had to take back? Today we even wonder where these people live. What about those who paid the medical plan, did the honest, God-fearing, law-abiding thing, and we, the citizens, allow our government to practice a corrupt structure and restrict them from the pension, restrict them from the dental? Ladies and gentlemen, today my uncle is dead. Two of my uncles who played a major part when it comes to the oil structure in Trinidad and Tobago. And I cannot give you a guarantee or an assurance that either of their wife could go to any medical facility and be taken care of, although their husband already paid for it. The former administration made an excuse to take it back, restrict it. They didn't care about families. And today we're watching them. Today we're watching them while we deal with that escalating drug violence problem on the nation's roadway. Our young people can't have an argument anymore. There's no longer, we can fix it out, and when we meet again, you beat me up today, because this is how I do it, this is where we come from. You beat me up today, and then I go on a practice, and then we meet up again, either at the end of some football match, and we sweat it out again, and then everybody know, well, boy, eventually, oh God, you get beat up again, and you work it out, and when you go home, your man has all the victory, because when we meet again, we have to sweat again, but we live to fight another day. Look at where we at. A simple mother so-and-so could cost your life. A simple bad drive on the road could cost your life. Just the fact of looking like you care about your family could cost your life. Opening a business could cost your life. Educating your children could cost your life. Why? Because we live in a nation where people having guns, and they don't understand that guns don't kill people, it's people that kill people. So all the excuses especially certain communities making. On behalf of who? God alone know. God alone know. God alone know. Because I've been out there, and when you listen to the cries of the gangsters, when you listen to the cries of the gun busters, when you listen to the cries of the home invaders, each and every one of them using an excuse that we find it hard to dispute, lack of opportunity. And brothers and sisters, while we have to have enough sense to tell you, poverty is not an excuse for crime. But based on the doctrine that you are taking in, based on the music that you are taking in, and based on the poor representation that you saw over the years, ladies and gentlemen, the word hope left the young people. Hope left the young men and the young women. When you tune in and you listen, your minister of national security explain to you that it is not his responsibility to be a part of eradicating crime. When you listen, ladies and gentlemen, your brigadier general, when I say a brigadier general, the head of your National Security Council, who is your prime minister, explain to you, when you cry out for crime, he tell you he not in your bedroom. When he using your children, he using your wife, he using your grandparents, he using all them people to stay in power. And when we the people ask, what about the shortcomings in the community? They act like they didn't have no shortcomings. They tell you, Felix and Annie Roberts and Miss Kamala Prasad Bissessa, opinion box. They tell you, Ravi Figaro, all are we talking because we again nothing? All are we talking because PNM ain't doing nothing? My responsibility is to remind you over the years what has been going on, the level of wicked activities these people practice, and then today still have the audacity to come forward and act like they're bringing forth positive conversation on behalf of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Brothers and sisters, let me tell you something. We could talk, we could say what we want. The government of Trinidad and Tobago inherited a structure, and the government of Trinidad and Tobago decided to use the best out of the structure. All right, we don't have the pictures. If you missed it, go up on my Facebook page, look for Irvin Felix, you would see the documentation where Rowley stand up with the hand. So Fitzgerald Hines with the pen in the hand, and the American representative with the pen in the hand signing. They sign it. Now at the end of the day, I continue to tell you, who pay the cost is the boss. They will explain to you, America quit to report somebody, and on the same hand, all of us have enough sense. America quit to dip down in the pocket and send support for anybody. Who pay the cost is the boss. So I know it. Who pay the cost? You could be foreman. If the man cut in the check, I go work with that. You could be. Ladies and gentlemen, the United States of America is on the borders of Trinidad and Tobago. And their reason for being there, as they clearly explain, based on the evidence, we lost our Coast Guard. Trinidad and Tobago lost our Coast Guard in the fight against, and that is just recently. God knows how many people we lost along the way. Recently in the fight against narcotics. Today, the Coast Guard service, the police service, matter of fact, the whole of CARICOM is being given an opportunity, and you see in particular government representatives, it's like they're comfortable with drugs running through the country. They're fighting down the American government who faces the major impact when the drugs hit their shores. Brothers and sisters, all tune in to the United States of America, taking some of the videos from down Baltimore and seeing people at the side of the road like zombies. They're like zombies. And if it is we saying that it is our responsibility to mind our business, why America not even asking us to participate in the bacchanal? They're not even asking us. All they need to get is upon all the gangali boots and send out all the soldiers. That is not what is being distributed by the United States of America. But if we, as citizens in Trinidad and Tobago, after all the historical data when it comes to violence, I need somebody in this country to justify you telling our Prime Minister to look the other direction, to justify you telling our Prime Minister that she needs to mind her business. Well, then somebody, especially a Trinbagonian citizen that lives in Trinidad and Tobago, worse off if you're supporting the PNM, I'm giving you the opportunity to call in. You call in and explain to the people of Trinidad and Tobago where the gun manufacturing center is located in Trinidad and Tobago. That could be the only justification for the level of gun activities in Trinidad and Tobago. Explain to the people of Trinidad and Tobago the guns that is murdering people on the streets, the guns that is violently disrupting businesses. Explain to them that have nothing to do with guns being illegally in Trinidad and Tobago. That have nothing to do with guns coming through an exposed border. It's because we have a gun manufacturing center and apparently they're selling minors guns. We don't even have that argument in Trinidad and Tobago. So obviously our problem continues to be a border problem. So if we have a border problem and we can get our border problem rectified, listen, it is so serious that the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago explained to her own citizens. She wasn't talking to Venezuela. She explained to her own citizens. If you decide to venture in Venezuela waters, practicing rogue activities, and you find yourself being in the hands of the authority, no amount of singing could get the government of Trinidad and Tobago and its resources involved in getting you home. This was a clear warning to the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. What that means? That means that I believe that Trinidad and Tobago, we already doing business with enough people. We already doing business with enough nations. We have tariff to think about. We still have India to think about because that is a market that offered service. Don't feel we forget when Mr. Moody come to Trinidad and Tobago, what he said. So we have things to think about as citizens. And our responsibility on an everyday basis is to get up and weed through the garbage that is being distributed to the people. Weed through the rubbish that the former administration continuing to market to the people. Up to now, they do a budget consultation for the people yet. I see Tobago loud and proud promoting and implementing, getting the information from the Burgesses on the ground. Why? Because the representative from Tobago, listen, the representative who came quite from Tobago understand that a budget consultation is very valuable, especially in a time like this. Mr. Farley inherited after 20 years of PNM laziness, and the UNC now inherit after 9 years and 8 months of poor representation. Billions of dollars borrowed, billions of dollars missing. No explanation. This is what the UNC inherited on this side with the coalition of interest, and Tobago with the TPP inherited on the next side. And ladies and gentlemen, you are being asked You are being asked to be a part of a conversation that the United States of America come down here to rob Venezuela with oil. I had to be the most, to be a part of that conversation, you had to be the biggest idiot. Yes, if after the whole situation scrapped down, the problem fixed, the new government that is in Venezuela men ties with the governing body in the United States of America and other nations, and they get to do business with the oil and uplift their community. That is a damn good thing. Why would I or you fight that? Venezuela oil reserve, as far as we hear, is one of the highest in the world. They have rail load. And with all the load they have, their government cannot come up with a structure to market their product in an efficient, respectable way. It's like drugs is more valuable than the oil that they have. Oil is legal, drugs is illegal. America explained they're coming down the road because this drug problem that oil cannot fix. Mind me, the American Coast Guard tried to remedy the problem. They have brought the information to you last week. What they're doing, it is not working properly. So reinforcement have to come. At least America man enough to say that. Reinforcement have to come. We have to bring down the relevant radar, sonar, because these fellas and them not just using pirogue. It's submarine, it's all different type of things they're using. And the problem is, if it is the drugs leave from Venezuela and it head to Russia, I doubt America would even be concerned with that. Even when the drugs leave Venezuela borders and Colombia borders, it head over and Putin buy all the drugs and feed his people in. I doubt the United States of America will have any form of concern when we say the drugs hang out and it leave and it goes straight China, and China market all that to the people and tell everybody eat and all the smoke and sniff all the feel good. If that was the position that America in, America would have mind the business, because Russia and China and these nations boasting that they're on top. But the problem with the drug in Trinidad and Tobago, the problem with the drug in the United States of America, in Colombia, and Venezuela, when it leaves, it heads to the United States of America. So their government have a responsibility to the communities, to the people, to the self. And if we already have the relevant information of where the drugs coming from, we already dialogue the data that we have to the relevant authorities, and the relevant authorities doing nothing about it. Well, then we will have to fix the problem. And this is where Venezuela and the United States of America is at. Trinidad and Tobago is not asked to participate. Our army is not asked to be involved. We're not preparing to go down to Venezuela. That is not our business. What is our business is that the shores of Venezuela and the people of Venezuela has been utilizing easy access to Trinidad and Tobago for decades. That's the conversation. Our borders has been open. Whether they're coming to do illegal activities, they're coming to do business. We have the factual data of boats, pirogues, different artilleries coming to our shores. And it's not just affecting us legally. We also have to think medically. Are these people fully immunized? We have to think medically too. So while you hear in a conversation and thinking that people fighting down Venezuelans, no. Anybody who have basic common sense and does leave the country at any point in time and know that once you diverting over to the next country, your immunization information must be at hand. No country not accepting you without that. And this is natural immunization. I mean, they're talking COVID-19. Natural immunization. Like basic common sense. And in Trinidad and Tobago, we had people coming in and out by the thousands. By the thousands, the police don't know, the army don't know, nobody on the record. While we are saying, blessed good afternoon to the Spanish people who utilize illegal avenues to find themselves in Trinidad and Tobago. But what you really see in here is a problem. And it is a problem that could be eradicated. And not even by us. Because just the presence of the United States of America being in the war, I don't even think America needs to set foot on Venezuela soil. America just needs to be right there. Make sure Maduro keep mobilizing his troops. Eventually, they will run out of food. And eventually, the same people who line and saying that Venezuelans supporting Maduro, send the information, send the data. Or you pick a video from where people signing up for a different thing and showing that that is where people preparing to go to war on behalf of Venezuela. So then the over 8 million Venezuelans that scrambled out of Venezuela. So then why was Venezuelans scrambling to the shores of Trinidad and Tobago? Is it that the economy of Venezuela is so good that Venezuelans no longer want to eat their own food? Is it that the Venezuelan dollar is so efficient, it is so strong, it is so healthy that Venezuelans have enough money to travel around the world and eat all type of cuisines? Is it that is what they're trying to market? That we don't have Venezuelans who is doctors doing security? That is what they're trying to tell me? That people who was doctors and police officers in Venezuela is in Trinidad and Tobago today, working security, working in food establishments, working in groceries. You telling me these people leave the doctor work and the police officer work where they only trying to pretend that thing was going so good down Venezuela. It didn't have a crime problem, it didn't have a drug problem, it didn't have a government problem, everything was good. And them just leave the doctor work and come to Trinidad, listening to Trinidadians, ask them to go home in their place, and them just living through all of that because them economy that good. All I think people is idiots in this country or some kind of thing. It's because the People's National Movement is in opposition. They poorly represented the people. They cannot explain where over $144 billion was spent. Marvin Gonzalez cannot explain the money that his organization went to get borrowed to upgrade WASA. He cannot explain how it was spent. They cannot explain, ladies and gentlemen, why our football fields is not in good standard. Why our track and fields are not in good standard. Why we only have limited cycling velodromes. Why we have limited swimming pools around the country. Even with dragon boats, ladies and gentlemen, making impact. Why? Why today the burden is upon the new administration? The burden today is upon the United National Congress to begin a structure from zero. Listen, from zero. This structure had to start. You can't use nothing from the PNM. Nothing. They were able to dilapidate football in this country. They were able to dilapidate employment in this country. They were successful by eliminating the middle class in this country. While the people of Trinidad and Tobago, we sit back and we watching. Because yes, the United States of America could handle themselves. And yes, Venezuela be. And while we watch, I understand why my government capitalizing, although what she already need the documents signed. She met it signed. And she agreed that drugs and using Trinidad and Tobago borders would not be accepted when it comes to those narcotic activities. Me living down Venezuela, but I have to be an idiot. And this is what you're seeing. PNM have people making themselves idiots in this country. I have to be an idiot to stand up and argue with a Venezuelan who is explaining the shortcomings that is taking place in his country. And it have people in Trinidad and Tobago debating that, just like I brought up Washington, D.C. to you. Look at what is taking place in Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C., they tell you that place. So when you hear that now, you would say, nah, this is Donald Trump going too far. But how did it go? What going on with Donald Trump? Let's good afternoon, caller.
The average salary in Venezuela is $125 money.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
One of the people was happening because he had to go out to get married to
yeah.
in Trinidad. So, you know, so he explained to me, I know much value power in Venezuela to the average man.
Okay.
5 years. They're looking for $125 that money.
Yeah.
They have to take $5 value power.
Madness.
So everybody who was talking and saying why do
That was it. But don't get left.
If the big drive 125 years to the money, how much they will think of the 5 years, 6 years?
Thank you.
Look at the company. People who feel the poverty in Trinidad. I took my poverty.
Yeah.
They survive a long time to work at it. And took more people join here to Venezuela.
Yes. Yes.
So, let them fix something. They're very good.
Thank you much. Thank you much.
Yeah.
Add something you call us, say you remember me too. Because I myself was working down Venezuela. Actually was working on a boat. And I remember, brothers and sisters, this is where we get the man who was controlling Boria Port. He was our translator. Now mind me, he is the boss on the port. And the man explained to me the salary he working for is basically $300 a night TT for the month. The man working for small money. When I was the cook on the vessel at the time. Because I never spoke to. I was listening. The caller, oh God, I lost my train of thought. I was listening to the translator down in Venezuela. And this man was explaining to me the last time, now mind me, his son is 11. The last time his son actually drank milk was when he was on his mother's breast. It's not that the father or not that people down in Venezuela don't use milk. It's just that milk is so expensive that it is not a normal thing. So if people in Trinidad and Tobago believe that they could take stupidness and use it for common sense while people in Venezuela struggling for support, asking for support, well then we have to be on slackness. I'm going to tell me if you're hearing it or not. Because I was talking about Washington, D.C. And I listened to the conversation at Washington, D.C. and Donald Trump. And Trump is a wicked man. And Trump has no authority to come down in the people place. And then I started looking into Washington, D.C. and what exactly happening in Washington, D.C. And there I get to find out that Washington, D.C. have a serious crime problem. Matter of fact, Washington, D.C. is labeled as the crime capital. They inherited that handle as the crime capital of the United States of America. Now, the people of Washington, D.C. crying out for help. Ladies and gentlemen, I continue to tell you, I have to be an idiot to go against the people who asking for the support.
We need everybody. Worse than the 80s. One of us every day come out the house to go to school. It's like, okay, my child at school safe. We get home, school safe.
Concerns with those voiced by 3 or more are the reason DC leaders are going door to door. Here are things who lives in Union Heights. She's worried about raising her 2 sons in the city she says is free with crime.
Back when I was coming up, we was able to come outside and go play without worrying about getting shot.
So I don't know if it is in here exactly what it is. I just played. So I didn't check in it, they want that. But this is a lady crying out for support and crying out for more support because the police obviously cannot handle what is taking place in Washington, D.C. So while they cried out, the President of the United States of America have a legal responsibility, a legal obligation to make sure and show priority to the people who cried out and asked for the support. So brothers and sisters, I have to be irresponsible to continue arguing this. So my thing now, I want to run something for you from Venezuela on the whole, because again, our conversation must continue to stay relevant. So I want you to listen to this piece of conversation and I talk that running in. I want you to listen to it very carefully.
In Venezuela, even criminals have been hit by the economic crisis. These men based in the suburbs of the capital specialize in kidnapping and ransom demand. For them, hostages are just another marketable commodity. This here is our warehouse.
Now, what we listen to here, ladies and gentlemen, is a video with. All right, but they hear what you hear here, ladies and gentlemen, is a video where somebody translated, and this coming from the gangsters and them. This is their sentiments on the ground in Venezuela. I need you to listen to this. Hear them? Check it back.
In Venezuela, even criminals have been hit by the economic crisis. These men based in the suburbs of the capital specialize in kidnapping and ransom demand. For them, hostages are just another marketable commodity. This here is our warehouse. We kidnap people and lock them up in here. We try not to harm them. What we want is the money. To get their family trying to act smart. If they call the police, then we have to kill them. Here they have a choice. We feed them too. All we want is the money. We don't want to kill anyone. In Caracas, dozens of gangs like this one carry out kidnappings. Although no official numbers exist, abductions have become big business in recent years. With a national minimum wage under $10 US a month, these men have poverty as second to their life of crime. I do this to feed my kids. That's how it started. I used to have got sick too, and she couldn't afford medicine. He's got young kids, and he needs money to afford doctors. A pack of diapers can cost between $4 and $7. And for that, you get about 20 diapers. You can't afford that on minimum wage. So you have to steal. Since they started, they've conducted many kidnappings. We've lost count. Yeah, we've completely lost count. We've got nothing left. Debts and problems, that's all we've got. Their criminal enterprise is now in crisis. law enforcement authorities would be accused of playing a double game. Have been confiscated by the authorities. We used to have tons, but the police took them all. When they arrest us, they ask for money to let us go. They say they'll kill us if we don't pay, and they take our guns. After that, we have to find new ones, and we often end up buying them back from the cops who took them from us. But the main problem for these men.
So basically, ladies and gentlemen, what you hear taking place down in Venezuela is that, not me who's saying it, the people of Venezuela it's not that. It's not, if you notice, the screen really buffering. If you notice, and I'm going to explain to you now, it's really the mixer board. I realize for sure, you know, that's what's going on in here. So obviously, I'm going to have to get the next mixer. I now realize that. And I try to change the wires because I new wires, and we still end up with the same problem. So then it's the board. That's why I shut off earlier on to come back up. But here it is, as I explained to you, based on the conversation coming from the ground in Venezuela, even the criminals explaining how this government, this Maduro government, have them functioning. So what it is I am saying is that the American government being in the waters and listening to the conversation, because some of the young fellas and them, especially in that video, it have nothing to do because there's no opportunities, no doors that is open. So they find themselves now dealing with the police, and what they're saying, when the police arrest them, they can buy back their gun from the police. And this is what we don't want in Trinidad and Tobago. We don't want to continue hearing those type of activities. We already heard that in Trinidad. We already heard that. And those of us who've been real and reasonable with the position that we are in, you would understand that Venezuela is less than 5 miles away from Trinidad and Tobago. When you check Warrior to Cedros, that is a big stone away. So Venezuela is our closest, we should say closest neighbor, but America is our longest ally. And I am telling you something, brothers and sisters, I am not encouraging no woman to sit down and stay in no house with no man. You're trying to reason with him, and no matter how you talk to him, he beating you. No matter how you talk to him, he cheating on you. No matter how you talk to him, you can't tell him nothing. I'm not encouraging that conversation. I am not the type of human being to tell you, God will work on that. And on top of that, you're trying to deal with it. If you're trying to deal with it, you don't say, oh, God, honey, you see how it is, you just be physically hitting me, or you see how it is, you keep sleeping with them woman and them. It's like I'm not good enough for you. It's like I am not of value to you. And you show your sentiments. Likewise and vice versa, same thing a man explained it to the woman. And you show your personal sentiments and that person continue with that type of activity. I am not the type of human being to tell you, hold on in Jesus' name. You know. That is craziness. That is craziness. Because at the end of the day, God tells us, despite all we search for, all the wisdom we're searching for, brothers and sisters, we have to search for understanding. We must have common sense. If it is not making sense, we have no reason to be a part of it. We have no reason to be supporting it. And brothers and sisters, this fact that our borders has been open for the longest, we have no reason to be comfortable and accepting that. Nobody have no reason to be calling Ms. Kamala Posad Bissessa after she listened in the United States of America explain. They come down here on this fight against crime, this fight against drugs. Now, you notice in my conversation, I never explained to you that Maduro government is a drug government. But I could comfortably tell you that the history of Trinidad and Tobago shows that Trinidad and Tobago is a hub. And it shows that it leaves from Venezuela, it leaves from Colombia, stops in Trinidad and Tobago, and then leave and go where that to go. That is blatant facts. So I don't have to try to convince no citizen. If the PNM supporters choose to be blind and they don't understand what they have been entertaining for the longest, well, then that is on you. But my responsibility is to make sure that the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago understand that we cannot continue living like that. We can't continue accepting that. We have people from Trinidad and Tobago, look 1 year, who left and went to the next man land and practiced rogue activities. You know, it's so happy, thank God that my family had paperwork. But if my family didn't have paperwork, didn't have my passport, all the deport talk that they're talking, that would have been properly and true. But as far as I know, once you go in a next man land and you practice rogue activity, or you want to use a next man land like it's your convenience, and on top of that, boy, I know business what Prime Minister saying CARICOM, them have their nation to deal with. The Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago have a responsibility to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. When it comes to the safety, when it comes to the sovereignty of the people of Trinidad, the government of Trinidad, Ms. Kamala Persad-Bissessa, have the responsibility to make sure and make relevant decisions on behalf. Thank God, ladies and gentlemen, we have a Prime Minister now that actually willing to stand up and support eradicating drugs entering the borders of Trinidad and Tobago. That is so correct, Michael. That is so correct. He left the borders open for their very friends to enter illegally in the dark of the night. And when they get comfortable, Michael, don't forget, when they get comfortable, they started coming over in big broad daylight. And when they get more comfortable, we saw videos where they're running down police with cutlass in Princestown. We see videos where they sit down on social media boasting about mashing up families and taking we Indian sisters and them husband and taking who wife. We saw it. We saw it. So while we sit down and we speak on a daily basis, again, I have no problem with the Spanish people who come here legally and doing legal business and have respect for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. But those who don't speak like Trinidad is them own. No, we're not accepting that. Your Minister of Homeland Defense, fast and out of the place, he damn disrespectful. He can't even feed his own people. He can't even come up with a structure to keep his own people in the country. But you're out and about trying to talk for Venezuela, for Guyana, and Trinidad and Tobago. Two countries that taking care of the people. Two countries that minding the business. The two countries that minding the business. You only trying to set a talk because Venezuela, and that is where his whole stance on. Venezuela bigger than we. Bigger than we in what? In agriculture? No. With all the money? No. So if my government of Trinidad and Tobago bless, good afternoon, caller.
Good afternoon, Mr. Felix. Good afternoon, Trinidad and Tobago. And good afternoon to everybody in here.
Doctor.
Yeah, Mr. Felix. I was going to you talk about the policeman from Venezuela. Two people may have to go to the country and doing what,
yes,
right? But I like how I think Kamala put in the place and tell them get away. Anytime anything that is on local community trying to get waters,
yes,
right? You will shoot, you understand, and ensure that all the keep on it on the side of the water, steady. This is trying to do Venezuela, right?
yes.
So the second thing I really want to say is this. The PNM is not really a party, it's a bunch of terrorists. For 9 years.
For really?
9 years or 10 years. Already our borders open. What our coast guard boats and not quite down in Sharama down there in Story. Right?
Yeah.
Leave the place open. After that, Venezuelans were inside there like the old Trinidad and Tobago. Right? And here and they do it in such a way. Like your own here no partner. Look in the Carcass and even at them places where we were in and outside for months. I have been telling Andy and Lennox and LA, so you know, if you be careful and put on foot, You understand?
Yeah.
They took over us and all the people in the country now, and terrorizing the citizens in the country.
Yeah.
But like what the Kamala say, you know, we on illegal ones, we have a problem with that.
Yeah.
If you all of them who illegal, we will send them back because my brother experienced in Venezuela. And I can tell you something. My brother told me when you walk in the street of Caracas, he say every 10, 15, 20 minutes, after we are stopping them to ask them, send it out. You mean an ID card now?
Yeah.
You understand?
That is true.
But these illegal scams are just coming down here, right? And them operating like their own here and nobody can tell us what's now kind of thing. You understand? So we have that problem that anti-camera and let us ship up. You understand?
Yes,
So
man.
we must put on ship up and let them know hey, what's going on. This is big country and we will fix it.
Yes,
You
man.
understand? One way or the other, you have to fix this case, boy.
Yes, man.
Because there's too much of corruption in this country. PNM side.
Yes, man. Paula, thank you very much for that.
Okay,
Yes, man.
yeah, God bless.
Thank you very much for that contribution, Paula. Again, ladies and gentlemen, I need all of you to utilize the phone lines. You know. I know all in here, good. And while we at it, all this thing what's going on. So if it is, we have to really clean up this thing properly. Somebody reach out to me today. And the small ones and them, I ain't making a call in for me. That's not. I will tell her the price because we have to find out the price. And we are weighing electronics in point important. And we get it in. If it is, we say that we supporting Felix, we supporting the Real Talk, we supporting UNC, we supporting the relevant conversation. Brothers and sisters, we can get a mixer for the program. They we program. They not my program. Like we mixer, we go begin it. So while we talking, I want people to call in, give all the sentiments, let me discuss. Because again, let me know if the Prime Minister doing the right thing or she doing the wrong thing. Call in, we still at the CPEP topic with the contribution that I make. Concerning people sitting ready to go to work because I watched the topic by Andy Williams. So I'm asking my UNC family, asking the coalition team, or let we talk, let we dialogue, or let we do it in a respectful way and let we do it in a way where we know we want this problem to remedy. And with that way, it's letting the government know that we see exactly what's going on, everything all the tell we end up being the truth. PNM corrupt, the bad mind, the wicked, everything end up being the truth. We see it. Let's get afternoon caller.
So, this I want to tell you honorable Prime Minister. Very honorable Prime Minister from President, you have 5,000 Venezuelans with you in the future. Yes, you will take them right in the picture before Venezuela. I have 5,000 registered Venezuelans if you will in the future. Right? Can you conversation I have to show them?
Yes, man.
And let me hear you respond.
Yeah, for real. Let me hear what I really do. Let me see how much they really love Venezuela.
Exactly,
Yeah, for real.
I have 5,000 registered Venezuelans here who can. I will just send them in the country. Right? I didn't hear what you said.
Free flight, free flight, free flight.
Yeah, free flight.
Yeah,
Free flight. Didn't hear what you just said. I was up in this one.
Thank you much. Proper contribution caller. Proper contribution caller, and that is as real as it gets. Even all of that going on with the government and them outside of Trinidad and Tobago. We have Venezuelan registered in the books, and we have illegal migrants in the country. So we will ask our government personally, no, I just a regular citizen. I will personally ask my government, and based on the call and say, we the people of Trinidad and Tobago will personally ask our government to fit the bill, send them down by them. If it's all of that, we always say. Other than that, or the problem have to fix. The border problems have to fix. You notice we're not quarreling about Venezuelans who coming in legal. That is not the conversation or the argument today. The conversation and the argument is that Venezuelan migrants are coming in illegal. We have too much illegal firearms, too much illegal actions taking place on the nation's roadway. And based on what it is we saw over the period of time, a man can leave Venezuela, touch down in Cedros, travel up to Pinal, Saparia, Debe, Port of Spain. He ain't go rub point because it's not in point. He ain't go stop in Marbella. It's not in Marbella. All them places PNM successfully dilapidate. So San Fernando, you might still get a little thing in San Fernando, they rob from a broadside and then you just come back down there and you board a boat and you go home. The police cannot solve the crime because even if forensic pass through, even if it have DNA on the scene, you still can't do nothing about it because the person who actually committed the crime entered illegally. So it's what we want to continue. It's what we want to have. As much as it have sickos in Trinidad and Tobago. It have sickos that come over in that whole heat from Venezuela too, you know, that sickos in the midst. But we arguing that until one of we daughters, God forbid, gets sexually assaulted, or until one of we business get robbed. Come on, all telling me all in city stories. Even farmers and all open up the doors to Venezuelans and was robbed. The same persons who they were helping robbed them. Trinidadian citizens played their part. And I am telling you, in any other country in the world, mass deportation would have already been in order. My prime minister is still giving them a blind. That's far as I see it. She's still giving them a blind, and the reason why me arguing about it is because at one point in time when I was an immigrant in an ex-man land, so I know how it feels to be an immigrant. But my responsibility is to let every Trinidadian citizen know we already have our own problem dealing with. We already have our own misguided young people dealing with. PNM did a damn good job of poor representation when it comes to the communities. So we already have our own shortcomings. It is not our responsibility to deal with a liability that we did not create. Venezuela government have a responsibility to their people. I repeat it again, the legal Venezuela that is in Trinidad doing business and minding the business. I'm not speaking to you. We're speaking about the Venezuelans that coming over and making all you look bad. Have our citizens asking for evacuation like no. Because too many families have been impacted when it comes to violent crimes, when it comes to things that was brought over by the Venezuelan citizens. So we're not against anybody. Our conversation this afternoon is just to say, when only hear we government say that we support the United States of America stance when it comes to drugs and drug fighting in the Caribbean. Give me Prime Minister, she speaks. This is not the first time she had the wheel. She didn't only represent as a Prime Minister. There's not a day she in this business. Give the Prime Minister a space. Give she an opportunity to deliver to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. We're comfortable. She's not just supporting Indian people in this country. And we're comfortable, watch me, we're comfortable with her being an Indian. This Diwali, I pray that all the Diwali going forward goes back to where it used to be. I pray we totally comfortable with our Prime Minister being an Indian. And I repeat that. Why? Because it needs to be told. The young people needs to understand this. The last African Prime Minister that we had, Jesus Christ, send the data, send the upliftment, send the contribution. You send the swimming pool, send the football field, send the adequate sidewalks, adequate lighting. You send the information for me, allow me to change my conversation. But don't vex with me when I get a government that understand in order to curb crime, you can't just gun down them young people. You have to set up the structure, yes, to make sure that people safe in the house, stand your ground. Stand your ground. And while we at it, we the people have a responsibility with the same plan. Encourage the government to unfold the plan. We need proper football fields, proper social programs. We need to show the young people, we need to show the people of Trinidad and Tobago that we the people, especially those of us who supporting the United National Congress and the Coalition of Interest anti-PP, that we actually care about the disabled community. We need to publicly continue showing that we care about the differently able community. We care about the elderly community. We also care about the children of Trinidad and Tobago. Brothers and sisters, while we navigate towards that, we can either do it at a fast pace, positive pace, deal with the elements that is before us and move forward, or we can try to hold on to the PNM. But I will tell you again, the same PNM, same representative, same logo, same color, same everything, utilized over 144 billion US dollars. They couldn't raise pension. They couldn't increase differently able money. They couldn't increase disabled money. They couldn't increase public servants' money. They couldn't buy proper bulletproof vests for the police service. They couldn't invest properly in agriculture, properly in road and infrastructure. $144 billion borrowed on the backs of citizens in the last administration. That wasn't enough money to do those things. But they're trying to convince you and me today that one penny will fix the problem. Same penny was there. Didn't open her mouth and speak when Petrochin was closed. Didn't open her mouth and speak when Ansemetal was closed. Didn't open her mouth and speak when businesses was closing down in Pleasantville. When businesses was closing down in Laramie. When businesses was closing down in Pointe-à-Pied. When businesses was closing down, ladies and gentlemen, throughout our country. That same penny came with Brown Marvin Gonzalez, Nyan Gasby Dolly. That same Stuart Young, Faris Alwari, Foster Cummins, that same group, all the names, everything spelled the same way, the same persons. All of them collectively put together could not utilize $144 billion that they borrowed to bring proper adjustment to WASA. That same former administration nearly stick us with a $4 billion T&Tech debt. Talk to me. Talk to me. Brothers and sisters, family and friends, don't be fooled by commercials. The People's National Movement utilized the mainstream media and their propaganda machinery for years. For the safety and the betterment of Trinidad and Tobago, advice that you continue to ignore those folks. They don't like Indian people. They despise African people. God knows they're setting up the Syrian people. Well, oh God, they put the Chinese man in the line of fire because their activists, their supporters, tell people to run up in people's house. Didn't explain to them to run up in them house. Matter of fact, the supporters have enough sense to not waste time to run up in the person's house who put out the conversation because it owns nothing. This is what we inherited. On an everyday basis, brothers and sisters, my responsibility. Today's Annie Roberts' birthday. What are you saying? Well, brothers and sisters, let me pause this. Let me send a little happy birthday to my boy Annie Roberts. What's meant to the Douglas politics, and to everyone who celebrated birthdays today, to our boy Anil Roberts, to the champion, we lead him at up, and today's Anil Roberts birthday, and Anil Roberts get up today, Austin, pelting fire like that normal. This boy ain't easy, but either way, we say happy birthday to Mr. Anil Roberts. Happy birthday, big brother. Happy birthday. And watchmen, we wish you many, 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 many more. I hope you get everything that you're wanting. And watchmen, I pray the Father God continue to bless you, cover you, and keep you. And continue to guide you and continue to order your steps. And then as I tell you, weekend day, PNM supporters will never like you. But 10 years from today, them will be the same people turning around and thanking you. What you're doing has to be done, brother. They're trying to push a conversation to bring we East Indian brothers out in front, to call them names and make them answer them appropriately. Anthony Williams did it. The plan already out in the open. So, and then you have to continue doing your thing. I have to continue doing my thing. TC and Heavy have to continue. Ali, with real talk of the road, have to continue. And if it is being careful and monitor Ali, they will attack Ali and try to overwhelm him. Guys, really talk with Ali, or they understand what's going on. If we don't monitor what is going on, we same boy breaking down, they will try to overwhelm him and attack him because he stands for righteousness. Anil Roberts basically leading the pack. He in government and doing what we just do. So I have that respect for him. And what's maybe you telling me today, as much as we selling happy birthday, and then we're going to take the rest of the day off partners, boy. You go hand it for me going forward. Do your government business, do your part, and pull in with your family partners. Spend time with your child and do your business.
Good afternoon to you, Mr. Felix.
Good afternoon. Kunji, what's going on, Papa? Talk to me.
Well, I just go thinking positive, not negative, try to be cool, calm, and collective.
Yes, man.
And listen to good talk.
Yes, man.
Listen to real talk, transparent talk, and talk that will benefit the future of this country.
Yes,
I
man.
want to be part of that.
Yes, big brother.
But when you look at it, Mr. Carpet politics that is PNM, propaganda that is spreading, I ask myself, and I want to ask you to solve this country. Guyana is being neighbors.
Yeah.
Venezuela is being neighbors.
Yeah.
The Americans is one of the biggest suppliers.
Yeah.
Venezuela wants to invade Guyana.
Yeah.
And want to use the same brutal force the Americans want to use on Venezuela.
For you.
Why the PNM people then blank? PNM supporters and them will want Venezuela to invade the neighborhood in Guyana
Thank you.
and brutalize the country and kill other citizens. Why do you want that? And one of our greatest supplier want to defend Guyana.
Yes.
The Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago said if Venezuela is going to invade Guyana, she will give the Americans a way to defend Guyana.
Yes.
Why these black PNM people and them turn around the story and say the government opening gates in Trinidad to war with Venezuela? Why are they saying that?
Because they
That
can't.
is not what the government said.
That is not what the government said. You're right.
The government and the Prime Minister is telling you this is the if Venezuela was the one invade Guyana, which is our neighbor, she will give the Americans a way to defend
Yeah.
our neighbor too.
Yes.
Why are they not telling they have to be killing each other? Why are they talking?
Because that's how they live in the party. That's how they live in the organization.
And earlier on when you were speaking, and you mentioned that the people and the people lose hope in the community.
Yeah.
That was that part.
Yeah.
And when someone loses hope, survival instinct
Yeah.
is kicking in.
Yes. Automatic.
And when survival instinct kicking in, anything can happen.
Anything is anything. True.
Anything can happen.
Yeah.
And that is what happened.
Yes.
The PNM introduced survival instinct in the future of this country.
Yes.
And today crime rate all over the country.
Hmm.
When them little children who is 24, 25 years today, and the same PNM said call them criminals and gunmen and stuff, and they kill them out. Them children keep going on the PNM. Them was 10 years and 9 years when you take office.
Yeah.
Them was 15 and 14 years when you take office.
Yes.
And because that is power and create no opportunity for the future of this country. Today there is 25 and 26 years with nothing.
Nothing.
That's what you impose. That's what the PNM impose on the citizens of this country. And today they're talking.
Hmm.
Today keep we talking from talking to the and keep we have a constitutional responsibility to govern this country for 5 years from 2020 to 2025. We abandon this country. Strong and healthy. No medical condition to stay sick. But resign to say he going to see about the sheep in Tobago. We abandon human beings and the collective responsibility to go and see about sheep and goats in Tobago. We said the question about the government is going to go away. We abandon the country.
Yes.
One live on the hand now. If you Trinidad and Tobago, one live on the hand now. Let Tobago can run up on there.
For real.
That's the happiness.
Thank you much.
Don't run up on there.
Hmm.
He's fighting for more than sheep. More money fighting for more than sheep.
Wicked, wicked. Thank you much.
Wicked, deceitful, conniving,
Hmm.
belittle, terrified. Thank you.
Thank you much. Thank you much for that call, Kunji. And ladies and gentlemen, again, this is where we keep it real. This is real talk. And that is so true. Calculate that 9.8 years. People who was 13 and 12 years, they are adults today. And they navigate through them that whole period. And today they have nothing. You know what we left with? We left with our foreign minister, our foreign affairs minister explaining to the people of Trinidad and Tobago, while her government was in office, her government invested 27 billion US dollars. Where? They're telling small and micro businesses lies. Where are those business persons? Where are those persons? Why the community continue to be depressed when the People's National Movement is in office? And today we sit and stand, I should say, with the United National Congress and the Coalition of Interest. We fully support TPP. We can vote in Tobago, but we endorse the TPP because TPP understand that they have a responsibility to make sure that the PNM and their supporters never hold back on to the THA. They have a responsibility to make sure, and the people of Trinidad, we have a responsibility. Our responsibility as we speak, as we dialogue, is to understand that we must continue to hold on to the truth. And there is not one person in the People's National Movement. Listen to what I'm telling you. There is not one person could bring a conversation to defend what was done to the people of Trinidad and Tobago by the former Prime Minister. Mr. Rowley is labeled, Kunji hit the nail on the head. He is labeled as the only Prime Minister in the history of representing in Trinidad and Tobago. He's the only Prime Minister that abandoned the people of Trinidad and Tobago. How could we give this man a listening ear? CNC3, let's stop doing us that. That man have a history, and that don't just embarrass the PNM. It also embarrassed every African man in this country. That man showed the world that we just give up. He showed the world that we are failures. He showed the world that we cannot stand for our own people. And I, as an African in this country, I am telling you, I am totally disgusted by that representation. I am totally baffled with what that man did to us. And CNC3 and the media houses continue to market his garbage content. The most amount of money that was ever borrowed in the history of Trinidad and Tobago by any government was borrowed by Rowley and his administration. And you tell me, ladies and gentlemen, 9 years and 8 months, problems for water. Our children nearly drowned in schools. You telling me 9 years and 8 months, Lavantil had a representative, and yet still the people in Lavantil cannot use their address to get employment. The people in Ceylon who educated and send the children to school cannot use their address to get employment because the employers will be under the impression that they put in their business at risk because the former administration market to every community. They told all of us, me who living down in Point, they tell us that it's only bad eggs that are up there. They told us that it's only criminals that are up there. And when they're done, they come back and tell me it's only PNM people, children get in trouble up there. That is what they did. They utilized the people for support and then bad talk their own people in public. And those same people, some of them are so strange. Nothing to show for the money, Anthony. I see that. Nothing. You could imagine being an Indian in this country, watching an African prime minister drag a country you living in down the gutter. But when you hear Indian people open up their mouth and talk, allow the people to speak, allow them to speak. They had to sit back and watch an unfit prime minister drag a nation down to the gutter. Allow my prime minister to speak. Allow the supporters to speak. You don't come up here to try to explain to me that, oh, if they have nobody, if they have no Indian in Trinidad and Tobago talking and supporting the UNC, you're damn fast and out of your place. Don't disrespect Ali with real talk. Don't disrespect Breaking Dawn. Don't do it. Don't do it. You're fast and out of your place. Don't do it. And it have more. It have more. You're fast and out of your place. Don't do it. Only just talking and start talk and trying to misguide people. Only just trying to misguide people. That's what's my UNC supporters? I was telling all you know. Let me keep our composure. Let me keep the conversation while we're dealing with the thing. Let me keep the composure. Because anytime we start to act like we wavering, but they will rip Ali apart. They will rip Breaking Dawn apart. They will try their best to nail Annie Roberts' cross. They will try their best to try to muzzle Ravi Figaro. Our responsibility is to
Hello.
let's get afternoon. Talk to you, Papa.
Good day, calling from Santa Flora.
Santa Flora.
Yeah. My thing is that these people have this border open for so many years, 9 years. Yes. So they talk and they're happy of the and how they care. And one thing that I can still talking about is guaranteeing workers getting paid. Money promising people and that we will give the people these things.
Yes.
And when they give them, Rose coming and give them, Kamal come, she never finished to give them. Now she giving them, they have a problem with that.
I like how she giving them as she reach 110 too.
Right. But this time she has to give them
110.
what about construction workers? They promised them and things and they didn't get it.
Right. Rowley back online to the people telling Trinidad and Tobago we pay off all the petroleum workers by lies, by Lies.
Yeah, we tell them we're getting the land and house.
Yeah. Lies.
No. And these people still can't see that, right?
Hey. Hey.
These people are blind, boy. They're blind with PNM promises.
Yes.
If PNM, let me tell you something, if PNM was doing everything, what they promised, here would be a nice place now.
Yeah.
But it doesn't fulfill the promises.
Hmm.
And every 5 years they do the same thing.
Same thing.
And people still get fooled about that, and they realize that is the easy way to get done. Better. Because they're trying to straighten out this secret problem.
Yeah.
And people vex for that.
They vex.
Yeah. Many people straighten it out and sorry, everybody will get back to work.
For real. For
Yeah,
real. That's it. I said, that is disappointing you today. Make up yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, as we continue to speak, I want to pray after 3. I want to thank you all for tuning in, for viewing, for listening with me today. But brothers and sisters, our responsibility is to stay focused. Now mind me, I just told all that the mixer burned down. Based on what you didn't tell me today, you could get one for $2,700. The mixer is what us distribute the audio from the speaker to the computer to the and back to you where you receive a phone call, everything up on call, right? So the mixer basically giving trouble. So basically we have to get a mixer. So brothers and sisters, I can really do with some support. I go call my mother, I might be able to scrape, I might be able to get 100. But again, brothers and sisters are asking that we be ready for tomorrow, please, Lord. I know we talk about phone and we talk about chair, but you see what's going on here. And without the phone, without the chair, I continue doing my part because at the end of the day, we must continue to discuss. I'm not leaving the government in the rain and you don't make up your mind, we're not leaving the government in the rain. We understand the government, they're not saying we didn't hire no pastor, no priest, no pundit, but what we hired was representation. And it's our responsibility to have relevant conversation going forward. So brothers and sisters, we stand with our government with this conversation when it comes to the Independence Day celebration. We're going to talk about that tomorrow. We're going to talk independence tomorrow. Today we spoke, we talk Venezuela, we talk CPEP. Today, well, we look, brothers and sisters, again, I continue to thank you all for your support, your encouragement, your endorsement, because again, we have a responsibility to ourselves, we have a responsibility to our people, we have a responsibility to Trinidad and Tobago. And while we at it, we must understand that we must play our role. So brothers and sisters, I want to encourage you to stay focused, stay blessed. Remember, it's a boy Irvin. Remember, it's real talk. And I thank you all for your phone calls. Thank you all for the support. Thank you all for the encouragement. Thank you all, ladies and gentlemen, for continuing to stand with our government. Again, we continue to send a happy birthday to our brother Alan Roberts. We're sending happy birthday to everyone who's celebrating birthdays today. And while we at it, we're saying happy anniversary, whether it was a job, a new vehicle, heading into university, we're saying happy anniversary to you while we at it, and we're saying condolences to all those who mourn family and loved ones along the way. Brothers and sisters, I don't know the slogan is each one help on a change is as strong as its biggest link, and being a good person is not an option. But brothers and sisters, that is our only option in Trinidad and Tobago. So I'm saying, if the Lord laid upon you, brothers and sisters, and you could make it outside of Trinidad and Tobago, you can send a little 100, a little 50, a little 20, whatever it is. Let me see if we can get this mixer back up and running. Because we have to work tomorrow, please the Lord. Brothers and sisters, again, stay focused and stay blessed. It's Ole Boy Irvin, and I am out. Love all you.